Shalom everyone, Shavua Tov, and welcome to the very first question and answer session where you can basically ask me anything you like about Judaism, Israel, and converting to Judaism. And this is from a poll that I ran on my channel where 82% of the people that voted, over 60 people voted, said that there is a need for a question and answer session. And the best day where most of my subscribers are online is on a Sunday, Yom HaRishon, in Eretz Israel, in the land of Israel. It's the first day, so working day. I just finished working. So you can basically ask me any question you like, and we will see how many questions there actually is. And we'll run it for a few weeks and see how it goes. If there's quite a few questions, we'll continue it weekly. And if there's only a few questions, then maybe still weekly, or we'll do it every 2 weeks or once a month, or whatever is needed for the community. So please ask away in the comment section. I do have 2 computers open so I can see the chat, which normally I can't because I'm normally giving the class with a presentation. So yeah, ask me anything you like. Nothing is, there's no such thing as a stupid question, like the rabbis used to say at TORAH Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, where I studied. So anything that's on your mind, basically. So we already have one question. Frida Happy is saying, Shalom Theo and everyone. How do you prefer to be named in the comments to your videos? And he's saying the Jewish convert. So normally when you comment on a video, on any video basically on YouTube that's run by a channel, then automatically it will say the name of the channel in the comments. So my real name is Theo Kriel. It's actually Theodorus Louis Kriel, which is an Afrikaans name. And I still go by the name Theo on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on YouTube. My Hebrew name is Aqsa Mosque Kriel. I actually officially changed my name when I moved to Israel to my Hebrew name, which is Aqsa Mosque Kriel. But you can basically call me anything you like except Rabbi, because that I am not. Thomas is asking, where do I work at? So I work in Israel. I made Aliyah in 2019, in July. So it was actually my 2-year anniversary. I was actually planning to do a video, but things got a bit busy. And I'm a little bit behind on my videos. But basically I work for the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Defense and Chupat Chulim, which is like medical aids, and Bituach Lumi, which is like the social security of Israel. And I'm a medical prosthetist orthotist by training. I studied 5 years. I have a degree. I worked all over the world. And actually, I'm quite good at making legs and arms and braces. That was always my speciality. But in Israel, you often have to reinvent yourself because of the language barrier and many other things. You know, things in Israel work slightly differently. So in Israel, I'm now basically inspector for all these agencies. I work for a private company. I work in Tel HaShomer, which is one of the biggest rehabilitation hospitals in the Middle East. That's where my base is, my main base. where our main office is. But I work in Beersheba. I do a clinic there once a week. I have a clinic in Tel Aviv, in Ichilov, which is also a big hospital in Tel Aviv. And I travel quite a lot. So that's basically what I do for work and where I work at. I also work a lot from home. Baruch Hashem, with Corona, I used to be only at the base and then travel to the different clinics. But with Corona, I started working from home and I set myself up a bit at home. So I do a lot of work from home. So Bibi is asking, what are my views on Islam? So many of you would know that I lived in Islamic countries. I lived in Malaysia in 2007, where I first really got to know Islam because it's an Islamic country. And then I worked in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I worked for the king, King Sultan bin Abdulaziz. He has a very big rehabilitation hospital, the biggest in the Middle East, which is Sultan bin Abdulaziz Humanitarian City. It's also called the Jewel of the Desert in Saudi. And I worked there for 3 years, and that's basically where I studied Islam, or was taught Islam by all the Muslims, because Muslims try to convert you. You know, they're like Christians almost. So I had a Quran. I studied it, and I do have a video with my views on Islam, which would be better to watch than just to give my views in this question and answers. So I will be doing that in this question and answers. If I do have a video of it, I'll just refer you to the video and then you can watch the video there. Because the videos that I do, I normally do a little bit of research, and I structure it a lot better than what it will come out if I were to say it now. But basically, Islam is a monotheistic religion. It's 1,400 years old, and it basically comes from Judaism. And Muhammad in his earlier life was very close to the Jews and a big fan of the Jews. And he called us Am Sefer, the people of the book. So we are allowed to pray in a mosque. Obviously, we pray to the same God. And my views on Islam is very positive. I know that there's a lot of things on the news about, blowing things up and all this type of stuff. But I can tell you that is by far the minority of Islam. Islam is a giant religion with more than 2 billion followers. And whenever you have a religion, there's always a few crazies around and doing things that's not in line with what the book says. So, and the people that normally do these terrorist activities are normally uneducated and they are not religious. So that's basically my views on Islam. So, sure, it's quite a few questions. Maybe I needed to do this earlier. Okay, the next question is from Corporal Brewster. What if I convert to Judaism in a different community, then move to a bigger one in New York? How do I get started again and make friends? So, as long as your conversion is accepted wherever the smaller community is, there and your conversion is then accepted by the bigger community, it's pretty easy in Judaism to make friends, especially if you are male. Also female, but let's do males first. So if you're male, you have to go to Minyan, and you are at Minyan 3 times a week. So, 3 times a day. Shachris, the morning prayer, Mincha, the midday prayer, and then Marif, the evening prayer. And if you go regularly to the same synagogue, people start to notice you, and people start to ask who you are, and that's how you get Shabbos invites, and that's generally how you make friends. I mean, I was very happy in my community in Cape Town, in Beit Midrash Morashah, in Sea Point, and I left everything sold everything, and I moved to Israel, not knowing almost anyone. I didn't know anyone in Renana, for example. And I started going to synagogues for minyan, and I met a few South Africans, and I started getting invites, and word travels in a Jewish community, and before you know it, I was blended into the community. I actually moved synagogue. So I was first at Kilat Ariel, which I call the Minyan Factory, because there's a lot of minyans at that particular shul. And now I'm with Kilat B'nai Aaron. I'm very involved with that community, helping to set up the place and general organization and stuff like that. So you just go to shul, go to synagogue, and then you'll make friends that way. And for women, there's obviously Shabbos and festivals. And if you're there every Shabbos, the same thing applies. Women would start asking, who are you? Where are you from? And that's generally how you make friends in almost any community. Ukachukwa Dai is asking, why do Orthodox Jews make it so hard for black Africans to convert to Judaism? So, Orthodox Judaism, to convert to Orthodox Judaism, the rabbis don't care what color you are or what race you are from. So I would say that's not a very accurate question. I mean, it took me 5 years to convert. It takes I know black people in South Africa that convert, and it took 2 years. So it's all very individual, depends on the person, where they're at, how they're coping with the community, did they move to the community. And I know a lot of black people that converted, I know a lot of Asian people that converted, I know a lot of Indian people that converted. So Orthodox Jews don't care what is your race or ethnicity. They care if you're part of the community, if you're involved, if you come to every minyan, if you are male, if you come to every Shabbos and Chagim, if you're male and female, and if you observe the mitzvot, and if you are learning, then they will accept you. So obviously, if you're converting as someone that is black or Asian or Indian, meaning not white, then you're going to stand out a bit in an Ashkenazi community, which is normally European, white-looking Jews, like myself. But if you were to convert in, let's say, Sephardic, Sephardics are normally not white. So I actually daven Mincha Marif with the Sephardic community because it's quite close to my house. And I stand out a bit because I'm white in Israel. And they are normally not white. So it's always, you got to choose the right community for you where you feel comfortable. And obviously if you're limited with options like in South Africa, then you can only convert Ashkenazi. So then you're going to stand out a bit, but converts stand out anyway. I mean, I have an accent, Afrikaans accent. So as soon as I start talking in South Africa, even here with the South African Jews that lives in Renana in Israel, they immediately know I'm a convert because you don't get Afrikaans born Jews. So I think that answers that question. Freder Happy is saying or asking about my Ben and Jerry's video that I made recently. He says, I think I would not call the Black Panthers terrorists. Well, of course, there were violent attacks, and they were in the Black Panther Party movement. So I did look up the Black Panther movement, and according to America, they are a terrorist organization. They don't have a good name. It's like in South Africa, we have a group which is called the AWB, the Afrikaner Weerstandsbeweging, which is from the old regime, apartheid regime. They're not classified a terrorist organization, the same like the Black Panthers, but they do have that connotation to their name for violence and for being radical far right, which maybe the wording isn't correct to call them a terrorist organization, but that's how most people view them. Sage Wadila is asking, are children of a converted mother considered Jewish? So if the mother converted before she had the child, then the child is fully Jewish. So just like the mother is then Jewish. So the child can then marry a Cohen, for example, which is the priests, the priestly family. And there is an exception to that rule. If both the mother and the father converted and then had a child, the child is fully Jewish, obviously, because the mother is Jewish. But that child cannot, B'di Evet, before the fact, marry a Cohen. If she did marry a Cohen, which means they didn't detect it as they were writing the Ketubah, they basically made a mistake, the rabbis. And then lechatchila, after the fact, then the marriage will be valid. So there is a few things like that with children where both the mother and the father converted. But if only the mother converted and married a born Jew and had a child, that child can marry a Cohen, no problem, so fully Jewish, which is the most difficult family to marry into, is the Kohanim. Chaya Lappen is saying, Shavua Tov, may you have a blessed week. Same to you, Chaya. Matt Tillman is saying, Shalom, I am a Ben Noach, meaning that he follows the 7 laws of Noah. Ben Noach literally means Ben is son of Noah from the Bible. Years ago, I was gifted a blue kippah adorned with a Star of David. The rest of the week, I wear a baseball cap. Should I wear a plain black one in synagogue? I'm not sure which synagogue you're going to, but you can wear any kippah. You can actually wear a cap also in a synagogue. It's normally not done. Normally people will wear a kippah, or they will wear a kippah underneath their cap. That's how a lot of modern Orthodox, Dati Lumi, they go around like that. But you can wear any kippah really. Any head covering is okay in Judaism, halachically. There is a thing not to separate yourself from the community. So if everyone in that synagogue is wearing black kippahs, and you want to blend in, it's better to also wear a black kippah. But if you don't mind standing out, you could wear a blue kippah with a Star of David. That normally says that you are modern Orthodox and that you are Zionist. So that's the only thing, and not to make a scene, but I mean, no one really is going to care if you wear a black kippah or a blue kippah with a Star of David. Frida Rapp is saying, so he's just commenting on what he asked before about the Black Panthers. And he's mentioning that there's also attacks from the police to the black community. Again, this is minority. This is not every police officer doing it. And they don't have a name for it. Now there's a whole thing in America to make a name for it. Like the police is the worst organization in the world. The Torah commands us, it's also actually one of the laws of Noah, is that we should establish courts of justice, order in a society. And if there's no police, I can tell you it will be a lot worse. So that's also the Jewish law. There should be police. There should be a system of laws in place This is also part of the 7 laws of Noah, to make sure that society have law and order, that the innocent are protected, and there's always failing in any system that you create. So I don't think that's the same as the Black Panthers. Chaya Lappen is saying, if you are converted before the children are born, then the children will be born a Jew. If they're already born, they will go through conversion and the mikvah. I'm not sure if that's a question or statement. So yes, if like I said, if the mother converted, halachically, then the kids will be born Jewish. Any child that comes from the mother will be Jewish, actually regardless of the father. But if they're already born, they will go through conversion and the mikvah, that's correct. And then also when they are bat mitzvah, which is for a girl, 12 years old, or bar mitzvah, which is a boy, 13 years old, then they will have to confirm that they do in fact want to convert, because then they are halachic adults. So they actually do have a choice to opt out. And this actually comes from Sanhedrin, and it's also in Krishin. So that Mamia Abu Jamal is a convicted killer. He killed the police officer. So in Judaism, if the court says that a person is guilty, then you follow the law of the land. You don't dispute the court with a theory, conspiracy theories. It's not how we go. It's the court, the Beit Din made a decision, which is their Beit Din, their court, their Beit HaMishpat, we call it in Hebrew, the House of Laws. And if they say he killed him, then that's the verdict that was reached. So we are not judges. I'm not a judge. So the story that I quoted was that Ben and Jerry supported this cop killer, which they did, and he lost, and he was convicted. So that's the way we rule in Judaism. We go by what the court decided. Whether they're right or wrong is immaterial to us, because that is what the judges decided, and now we are not judges. So Emmanuel Kennedy is saying or asking, I want to convert to Chabad Judaism, but I don't have money to pay my rabbi. What do I do? So you can't convert through Chabad. Chabad is not a group like Ashkenazim or Sephardim. You can convert through 2 streams. The one is Ashkenazi, European-looking Jews, and the other one is Sephardic, originally from Spain or Middle Eastern, and that's the only 2 you can convert through, halachic conversion. Chabad is an offshoot of Ashkenazim, which is Hasidim. They also publicly declare that they don't accept converts. So they can perhaps help you to convert, or you can learn with a Chabad rabbi, but you cannot convert Chabad. It just can't be done. You can convert Ashkenazi and then decide to be a Hasid, and then follow Chabad. But Chabad also have a lot of different laws. So you'll have to relearn some of the laws, and a lot of the laws that Chabad follow is according to Kabbalah. When us Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardic Jews, we don't go by Kabbalah. That will actually be my next video on the course. That there is things in Chassidut that is not conforming to normative halakha, Jewish law. So Freda Rappi is asking, do I believe that corporal punishment, the death penalty, will come back after the temple is rebuilt? So it's not just the temple being rebuilt. There needs to be 2 things in place. Actually only one thing, but you need Mashiach to do that one thing. And that is the Sanhedrin needs to be re-established. the 71 sages of the court, and 120 is the full Sanhedrin. And I think a lot of people reading the Bible thinks everyone's dying. You know, there's a lot of things in the Torah that says death penalty, death by stoning, or death by strangulation, or death by sword. But I'm going to give you so I actually did Sanhedrin, Masechet Sanhedrin. Masechet Sanhedrin in the Talmud deals with the laws of the court, the laws of Sanhedrin. And it's actually very difficult to convict someone and then kill that person. And there's actually a statement made in the Talmud, in Sanhedrin, that says there's two views. The one says, if there's a court, a Sanhedrin, where there is more than one death penalty per 7 years, it's a murderous court. And there's another statement, which is the most widely accepted statement, that if there's a court, a Sanhedrin, that puts to death more than one person every 70 years, it's a murderous court. So it's very difficult to kill someone in Judaism by the court. And one, you need two witnesses. The witnesses are checked thoroughly. Also stoning, many people when they think stoning, they think the Islamic stoning, where you put the person in the ground, only the head sticks out, and you throw stones until the person dies. But that's actually not how stoning works in Judaism. Judaism, and this is the beginning of Masechet Sanhedrin, you put the person on a ledge, and it's a certain height, just to show you the extent of the laws. And then you push the person off the ledge, and then the person falls and then dies. Now there's all debate, how high should it be? And the reason we don't make it too high, because then if the body falls, it will, splash, which is disgraceful to the body. So even that is considered in Sanhedrin. And what if he falls and it's too low and he's not dead? Then you throw him with stones. But like I said, the majority opinion is that if there's more than one, so two death penalties every 70 years by a sitting Sanhedrin, it's called a murderous, blood-hungry court. So if the Sanhedrin comes back, or a better way will be when the Sanhedrin comes back, we need Mashiach to assemble this Sanhedrin. Then only the temple can be rebuilt. So we need a few things for that to happen. But when it comes then in Israel, we will go back to Jewish law. So Laura is just saying that he can join Noahides as well in New York. And Graphics is saying, I'm a Christian, I'm learning Hebrew, I finished Aleph Bet, and saying, I want to learn learning Hebrew. I can read now Hebrew very slowly. So, yes, to learn Hebrew is not easy, and it's something that you do need to practice. But I do have a video on my channel that you can watch where I do give tips how to learn Hebrew, especially online, which is totally free. But it comes with practice, like anything in life. You need to read in the Siddur, for example. You need to read the Hebrew section in the Chumash with the English on the other side. And slowly but surely you'll get used to the Hebrew. But it is a work in progress, and it takes quite a while. But eventually you will get there. So Freda Rapish is saying that BDS is, in my eyes, clearly anti-Semitism. BDS stands for boycott, divest, and sanction, which is a thing that was started by the Fakistinians, where they are trying to create a system where companies, Israeli companies, that people wouldn't trade with the companies, like we saw now with Ben and Jerry's. So I do have a video that clearly says from Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, where he speaks about that the new anti-Semitism is being anti-Israel, because there's no way that the world can do again what the Nazis did and just walk the Jews into gas chambers. There's now media, it will be tricky. So now the new way to be anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic is to be anti-Israel. So definitely BDS is anti-Semitic. It's from the Fakistinians. So Sealit is saying, was there anything before your conversion that you were afraid you could not do or thought you would miss doing? How do you handle nostalgia? So that's quite a good question. So, no, there was nothing that I was really afraid of that I couldn't do after my conversion. So my conversion took quite a while. I think the length of the process also helps with the adjustment. And look, you can basically do a lot of things in Judaism. Just need to know the laws, how to do them. So there's nothing that I really miss doing. Also, I converted for Hashem, for, to be Jewish. So I don't convert for marriage or anything. So I already knew that Christianity wasn't true. And I already knew that the Torah was true. So whatever God says in the Torah, that's what I'm happy to do. So there's nothing that I really miss doing. I would say that being a religious Jew is a much more fulfilled life than being not religious. So Frida Rapi is asking, would you encourage a Noahide named Christian to change his name? My civilian name is Christian. I think to change it to Frida. That's German and means in origin Empire of Peace. So I'm not sure. Look, if you're uncomfortable with the name, obviously, because it has a connection with Christianity and it will make you feel more comfortable, why not change your name if it's not going to make your life very difficult? So you always got to think about that. You got to change your bank account. You got to change your bank account name. It's the whole process changing your name. But yes, certainly if it makes you feel more comfortable, why wouldn't you do it? LM is asking, are there communities in Israel who don't accept converts? If yes, what would happen if a convert would go to daven there and they found out he's a convert? So in Israel, there's no community that does not accept converts. So also they will not find out. Israel is unique, I would say, in that regard. In Israel, you can walk into any synagogue. There's no guards outside or people telling you, you can come in or you can't come in. You want to come in, come in. That's pretty much the way Israel works. So no one here does not accept converts. I mean, we have a big convert community. I know a lot of converts in Israel that came from South Africa. And, they blend in just fine. Because in Israel, there's a lot of people from different countries, so different accents. There's no way of someone knowing if you are really Jewish or not. Obviously, if you're getting married or, things like that, then these questions do come up. Because that's one of the questions that people ask, are you a convert? Are you a Baal Tshuva, someone that returns, that wasn't religious before? So then a lot of questions come up. And I would say that's probably the only time they do come up. Joa Emmanuel is asking, do you think converts should pursue to live in Israel? I think all Jews should live in Israel. That is my view, and especially converts, because in Israel, like I just said, converts blend in much easier. It's much easier to find someone to marry. I think it's a much more fulfilled life for any Jew. You can eat kosher almost everywhere. You have the Jewish holidays. You can see sukkahs going up in Sukkot. You can see the festivals. So I would definitely encourage not just converts, any Jew should take hold of their birthright that was given to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they should return to their ancestral homeland, to Eretz Israel. We are waiting for them to come. They are welcome. So Maripali Ravi Kiran is saying, or asking, Noahides and Jews, what's the difference? If a Noahide want to convert, what was the way they approach? So Noahides, or Christians, or Muslims, or Hindus, or anyone that wants to convert to Judaism will be treated exactly the same way. There would be no difference. I think the advantage that the Noahide has is they already know many of the laws because they actually study the Torah and they're much more involved with Jewish learning. And the difference between a Noahide and a Jew is a Jew, full halachic Jew, and keeps the 613 mitzvot, or he declares that he will keep the 613 mitzvot. Today we can keep only 247 because we don't have a temple and we don't have sacrifices and we are not kings. Most of us are not kings, I think. I'm not a priest, I'm not a Kohen, I'm not a Levite, I'm male, I'm not female. So there's a lot of laws that we can't keep currently. So a Jew or convert to Judaism says that he will accept the 613 mitzvot and keep it to the best of his ability, where Noahide is just accepting the 7 laws of Noah. 6 was given to Adam and 1 was given to Noah. But it's commonly referred to as the 7 laws of Noah. And if you look in your Chumash, it's actually in Parasha Noah at the end. In the commentary, there's actually lists the 7 laws. Austin Treloir is saying, can the third temple be built next to the mosque? Or does the mosque need to go? Sure, very direct question. So, the temple needs to be built on the exact same spot where the first temple was and where the second temple was, and where we need to build the third temple. Currently, there is a mosque standing there, and it will have to go to make room for the temple. So Frida Happy is just saying thanks for the answers, and that I'm a good teacher. My pleasure. Chaya Bruning is saying Shalom and Shavua Tov from Amsterdam. Shalom. Graphics is saying, I'm a Christian. I read fully Old and New Testament. I heard about Noahide religion. May I know what and how to do sacrifice as Noah did for Noahide religion? So currently there's no sacrifices. Sacrifices are very specific. Sacrifices can only be brought in Judaism when the temple stands. So that's the only place you can bring sacrifices. You cannot bring a sacrifice anywhere else. So, and I'm sure that's also what the Noahides hold, because they hold what the Jews hold. So you won't do any sacrifices. When the temple is rebuilt, when Mashiach comes, you will bring your sacrifices as a Noahide to the temple, and they will slaughter it if it have no blemishes, obviously. And actually anyone can bring a sacrifice. Pritam Paul is saying or asking, does Jewish God, Hashem, have any connection with pre-Islamic monotheistic Hashemite belief, unlike Egyptian multitheism, probably entailing itself into Wahhabism? So Judaism is the oldest monotheistic religion. It first came from Abraham, was the first monotheist, the first person to believe that there is only one God, or the first person to come to the realization that there is only one God. And we became Jews at Mount Sinai when we accepted the Torah and the 613 mitzvot upon ourselves. That's when we became Jews. Islam is only 1,400 years old. So everything that Islam does is basically from Judaism, with a few things that they added, a few things that they took away. But yeah, basically they were pagans before, and I did make a video on my views on Islam, where I also discussed the history of Islam and Muhammad. So you can have a look at that video. Ndlugani, yeah, is saying Shalom. If a life circumstance comes up and makes you have to halt your Orthodox conversion process, is it okay? Will you able to restart after one's life is settled? It's a very good question, and the answer is complicated. It depends on the community, and it depends on the crisis, the life crisis. So in Judaism, there's often crisis, there's death, Lo Aleinu, God forbid. There's various things that happen in your life. Ideally, while you convert, you should speak with your rabbi and tell him this is the situation, and he will tell you how Jews deal with it. That way you also learn. But let's say you're staying in a community and you have a family problem and you need to go out of the community for a while to sort out your family crisis. You speak with your rabbi, you tell him the situation, and normally you're a convert, or you're in the process of converting, so you can exit the community and take care of your personal matter. Often when you return, it's a bit of a debate. Do you continue where you left off, or do you restart your conversion? And that depends on the amount of time that you left the community and the type of community you were in, and the understanding from the rabbi of that community. and the Baidin. So I think it's a very individual answer, but definitely if you have a personal matter, speak with your rabbi, and obviously your rabbi will tell you to attend to the personal matter. That's just how Jews work. Family is very important in Judaism, especially if it's a family matter. And then when you come back, sometimes they'll add time to your conversion, or you'll start again. All depends on the Beit Din and the community. Patrick Hubaib is asking, is there online conversion? I live in the Philippines, and too many Muslims and Christians here, and there are many Islams. So, no, you cannot convert online. That's, I'll give you the reason why not. I do have a video about conversion on my channel, quite a few of them. I have one video where an Israeli rabbi that is helping me with a personal matter for someone else, and he does classes online, but to convert you need to meet the Beit Din, the house of law, physically. Stand in front of them, answer the questions that they ask you, and then you need to go to the mikvah. If you're male, you need to be circumcised. If you're already circumcised, they need to draw a drop of blood. And then you need to go to a mikvah. For a woman, it's a bit easier. She just needs the mikvah. But there's no way to finish your conversion online. You can learn online, but there's no way that you can convert online. Also, to convert, it's not just joining with Hashem. I say it often in my conversion videos, but conversion is based on the story of Ruth, the grandmother of King David. And she said to Naomi, her mother-in-law, "Let your people be my people, and let your God be my God." Meaning you first have to join the Jewish people, and then you join God. Which sounds strange for a convert, but that is in fact the reality. Also, you learn a lot of things living in the community, seeing Jews, how they live a Jewish life. Things that you can't see in a book. You can read about it, but you can't see how it's practiced if you're living in a country where there is no Jews. So I would say your best option is to try to convert in Israel if there's no community in the Philippines. There's a yeshiva called Machon Mir in Israel where you can convert through them. Boaz is saying shalom, thanks for all the uploads, good to see. Just to clarify, Noahide is not a religion on itself. I'm 100% sure about that. They believe in one God, if that is what Boaz means. But they're not Jews. They're Noahides. They're also not Christians. Also not Muslims. I would say it's a religion. They have their own structures, and they keep only the 7 laws. I would say that's a formalized religion. So maybe Boaz will clarify. Boaz is also a moderator, and he helps me out a lot on comments on my channel. So thanks again, Boaz, for all your work you're doing on the channel. Ndlugani, yeah, is saying or asking, also, can you disclose what Orthodox dating is like in Israel to get married? So I have a video about dating Orthodox on my channel that you can watch, which will clarify a lot of things. But it's complicated. You need to watch that video. It's quite a long video. Dating is complicated in general, even if you are born Jewish. So it's dating. Dating is always complicated. Patrick Baip is saying, last question. If I have a tattoo, can I still be accepted to convert? I'm assuming he's saying. Definitely. Rabbis don't care what you did in your past. Your past is your past. We all have a past. All converts have a past. Maybe you were Christian before, Muslim before, Hindu before, whatever before. Rabbis don't care what you did in your past if you have tattoos. I know many converts with tattoos. Something you did. It's in the past. You're going to do conversion just like I did it without tattoos. And you have to cover it up if you can. I know a guy that has like a whole sleeve on his arm. So that's a bit tricky. Especially if you're putting on tefillin. That's the only place where it's a bit of an issue. But then even if you have a tattoo on your bicep where you put the tefillin, and it's not something immodest, like a naked woman, then, it's okay. What can you do? You can remove it. You can try to remove it with laser, but it's not compulsory. And, it's something you did in your past, and it's 100% okay. You can't obviously get a tattoo if you're Jewish. It's not allowed. What you did in your past is exactly that. It's your past. So Cecile Hayden is asking, what types of conversions are accepted by the government for Aliyah? So the only conversion that's accepted by the State of Israel is the Rabbanut. Is a conversion program that is approved by the Rabbanut. The Rabbanut of Israel, the Rabbinate of Israel. So you should ask anyone that you want to convert through, is your conversion accepted by the Rabbinut in Israel? And most conversions are not. And most rabbis are still honest. So they will tell you it's not accepted by the Rabbanut. So ask. Always ask. So Boaz is asking, how does music integrate in daily life? What do you listen to? What do you listen when and why? Is this based on lyrics or music genre as well? So I understand for Noahide, one should listen to a woman's voice when studying. I'm assuming one should not listen to a woman's voice. So yes, that's the concept of Kol Isha, which literally means the voice of a woman. So in general, you shouldn't listen to a woman singing as a male. Women can obviously listen to women singing, and they can also listen to males singing. So obviously any lyrics with cursing and things like that you should not listen to, ideally. And I wouldn't say it's genre based. I would say it's the content, based on the content. If it's immodest content, talking about sleeping around or killing people, then I would say don't listen to that. It's not in line with Judaism. If it's not talking about that, then you could listen to it. There's no problem with it. I listen to a lot of Jewish music, and you'll see also because I post a lot of Jewish music on my channel, but I also listen to a lot of Afrikaans music. So it depends on what you like. So Chaya Bruning is asking, can you go from an Ashkenazi conversion to a Sephardic one? It's complicated. You can technically. If you converted in Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, as an Ashkenazi, and you come to Israel, the majority of Israel daven Sephard, which is between Ashkenazi and Sephardic, which is like the national minhag here, is Sephard. So then you could say you're absorbing the minhag of the land, which is Sephard, not completely Sephardic. Apparently, if you want to go from Ashkenazi to Sephardic, you need to renounce your vow. Or you can marry a Sephardic. But it can be done, but apparently you need to annul your vow that you made when you accepted all the Ashkenazim customs and laws, and then take a new one. But you can't swap in between, not Ashkenazi, Sephardic, and then back to Ashkenazi. That's not possible. Apparently you can only do it once. So Patrick is just saying thanks for the answers. It's my pleasure. We went a lot over time. Yeah, I'll just finish the questions that's on the board. There's another 3 questions left, ending with Chaya Bruning. And then we're going to have to wrap it up. LM is saying, if someone who wants to convert has learned all the halachot and necessary things to convert on his own without a rabbi, can he go to the Beit Din to convert? Yes, you can go to the Beit Din to convert, but if you did not live in a Jewish community, they will not convert you. Because you have the knowledge of halakha. Let's say you have the knowledge of halakha, but you don't know a lot of small things or minhagim that Jews do. So the best way is, when you want to convert, approach a community and start the process like that. Because conversion is not just knowledge-based, it's very much time-based. So you have to do it in a specific time. And so even if you know all the laws, there's exceptions. People that knows a lot and they know all the small minhagim, they will probably be accepted by the Beit Din. So Boaz is saying, correct me if I'm wrong. So I understand one should not create its own religion, but should follow Judaism. Thereby, Noahide stands not on its own, but as Noahide, you follow Judaism just as a non-Jew. I think it's I personally think it's a religion. It's got its own structure. They are mentioned in the Torah, Noahides. They're not calling them Noahides. Ger Betushav, I think they're called. Just people that live with Jews. Maybe you don't like the name religion. Religion is organized structure of a way of belief and a way of prayer and a way of study, which I think the Noahides have. The Noahides, for example, can daven, can pray in a synagogue, and they're welcome, because the Torah tells us that we should be nice to them, and they attach to us. They're people that didn't want to become Jewish, so I felt it wasn't they shouldn't become Jewish. I don't really understand why people are Noahides and why they don't just convert to be Jewish, to be very honest. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, these question and answers are very informal, but I don't get the whole Noahide movement, to be very honest. If you really want to be Jewish or believe you want to keep laws exactly like the Jews, convert and become a Jew. It's going to be easier to get married. It's going to be easier for a lot of things. Schools, education, society, community, festivals. Why do you want to be an outsider? You know, even though Noahides are welcome in a synagogue, they're never going to get the Aliyah to the Torah, to go up to the Torah and make the bracha. They're never going to lead the community in prayer. There'll always be Noahides, not Jews. So, I know there's a lot of rabbis say, you know, don't convert, just become a Noahide. I think that's a way to test if you really want to be Jewish or not. But I don't get not not converting. I'm a convert. What can I tell you? So Chaya Bruning is saying, I heard the Dutch Orthodox conversion is accepted in Eretz Israel. I'm not sure. You have to ask them. They normally tell you straight. They know if they are recognized by the Rabbanut or not. And they can give you, you can ask them for a letter that in fact this conversion it will be accepted in the state of Israel. It's not too much to ask since you're paying for your conversion. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. It's gonna be the last few questions. It's getting dark here as well, and I still need to daven. So Patrick is asking if I can make a video about the questions that's asked in the Baidin and learning material about Judaism. So I do cover that in one of my videos, conversions start to finish, and I have a playlist called Conversion Syllabus to Orthodox Judaism, where I basically teach all the material that you do in any conversion. So Eben Skuman is saying in Afrikaans. So his comment I will allow because I am he's close to me. Eben Skuman. He's basically saying in Afrikaans, which is my native language, that I am his favorite Jew, and greetings from the Skumans. So I think later you'll understand why I'm allowing that comment, where normally I do not allow comments that is not in English. Okay, I have to wrap it up because I have to daven mincha. So I said it's going to be half an hour, and I'm not sure how long this has been. Sure, it's been over an hour. So perhaps this is what's needed. So I'll see how we'll do it. We'll run it again next week and see how the question and answers goes. Next week we will try to keep it to time. Thanks everyone for being part of the first question and answer session. And I wish you a Shavua Tov.